It's 9 a.m. and we call to order the meeting of the Southern University Board of Supervisors. Our invocation this morning will be given by Father Arakian of the St. Paul Catholic Church. Father Arakian.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
We stand before you, Holy Spirit, as members of the board of this university, conscious of our sinfulness, but aware that we gather in your name. Come to us, remain with us, and enlighten our hearts. Give us light and strength to know your will, to make it our own, and to live it in our lives. Guide us by your wisdom all through this meeting. Support us by your power, for you are God, sharing the glory of the Father and Son. You desire justice for all. Enable us to uphold the rights of others. Do not allow us to be misled by ignorance or corrupted by fear or favor. Unite us to yourself in the bond of love, and keep us faithful to all that is true. As we gather for this meeting in your name, may we temper justice with love, so that all our decisions may be pleasing to you and earn the reward promised to good and faithful servants. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Father Arakian. Our pledge this morning will be given by Christopher Best, who's a student at the Southern University Laboratory School. Christopher? Oh, you spoke to him. I'm sorry.
Good morning, everyone. I'm proud to introduce Mr. Christopher Best to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Christopher is a 12th grade student at Southern University Laboratory School, maintaining a 3.6 cumulative GPA. Christopher has been attending our laboratory school since the 8th grade, participating in football, basketball, track, esports, and the history club. He earned a full athletic scholarship to play football at the Southern University to major in civil engineering. Christopher is the son of Quincy and Angela Bless. And Quincy, congratulations on that state championship as well, young man.
Chairman Shorty, President Belton, members of the board, and distinguished guests, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you. Now we will proceed to highlight of today's meeting and the installation of our 2022 board officers. I want to again thank this board for the opportunity to serve, but I especially want to thank Dr. Robert Renee and Mrs. Tracy Taylor Jarrell. Commend them to our new leadership. Thank Dr. Belton and all of the chancellors and their various staffs for their hard work in the agenda development. Our council, Mr. DeQueer and Mrs. Blosh. Also, we want to appreciatively acknowledge Marcus Brown and Clark Wilson, who worked very hard to make certain that these proceedings go without a hitch. And Mr. Chairman and Mr. Vice Chairman, I want to publicly convey to you my full support, cooperation, and tell you how I look forward to following your leadership. And so with that, we will proceed now with the installation of Mr. Edwin Shorty as our chairman. Mr. Shorty.
I, Edwin Mark Shorty Jr.,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or
affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States,
and laws of the United States,
the laws of this state,
the laws of this state,
and the bylaws governing Southern University Board of Supervisors,
and the bylaws governing Southern University Board of Supervisors,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge all the duties
discharge all the duties
incumbent upon me
incumbent upon me
as chairman
as chairman
of the Board of Supervisors,
of the Board of Supervisors,
according to the best of my ability
according to the best of my ability
and understanding,
and understanding.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sure you don't want your wife to come up
And your son, your family.
Ex-family now.
The first family.
I asked my son to dress up, my son said, "Oh." The best I can. Dr. Whitfield said.
Just for the picture.
Now we'll have the installation of our vice chair, Dr. Whitfield.
Mom G, RJ, Reverend RJ, Queen Key, could y'all please come stand behind me? As I told you guys, the last time I was in my father was there. I promised my mom over here. He was standing behind me and I have the picture, so I got the same suit on and Fondale is still fit, so I'm still looking good, brother. Oh, come on. Come on, son. I, Ronnie Whitfield, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States, the laws of this state, and the bylaws governing the Southern University Board of Supervisors, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge all the duties incumbent upon me as Vice Chairman of the Board of Supervisors, according to the best of my ability and understanding, so help me God. Thank you, brother.
Before we start on our agenda, take a moment of personal privilege to address all of you very briefly. Dr. Tarver, I'll be brief. I know some lawyers who labored under the tutelage of Chancellor Pierre can be a bit verbose, but I don't suffer that malady. So I'll be brief. To my wife and son, thank you for always supporting me. I really appreciate it. I know we go from political campaign to political campaign, and then if it's not political campaigns, it's the pull of the law office and now the university. But every step of the way, my wife and my son are there by me to support me. The only reason our oldest is not here is she is trekking across Iceland in a bid to take photos of glaciers or something. But she's here in spirit. To our outgoing chairman, he has set the bar very high. He has handled his office with decorum in a proficient manner, and someone who I aspire to be like. I know he's a man of strong faith, and I know sometimes you pray for things and God gives you what you want, but he may not give it to you when you want it. But sometimes he gives it to you when others need it. And I think that you were chairman when we needed you to be chairman, to help us through this unprecedented pandemic. And your steadfast leadership, sir, has been something that I think the university definitely benefited from, and it was at the right time. There are many people who think we all stand on the shoulders of others. But a couple of folks I'll mention briefly. My former Congressman Cedric Richmond and my current Congressman Troy are both close friends and have supported me in everything that I've tried to do. And I will lean on them heavily to make sure that past inequities are righted through our federal partners' assistance. And they have assured me that they will continue to be partners with us and will support to every extent that they can. The other folks, my father had a couple of brothers who are no longer with us. And they were never uncles. It was like I had multiple dads. And I wish they could be here. Earl Shorty and Vernon Shorty devoted their lives to caring for others and making sure they instilled in the rest of the family a desire to help other folks where you can. And I know if especially if Vernon Shorty were here, not only would he tell State Senator Joseph Bowie how to do his job and tell him how to run the legislature, he would make sure that he would tell me every day how to do my job and everything that I was doing wrong and correct me at every opportunity. But it was always out of love. Thank the board for your support. I really appreciate it. I want to let the board know that I don't want us to fall into parochial issues that sometimes hit folks from Southeast Louisiana. Look, I am a SUNO graduate New Orleans guy. That is nothing to fear. For some reason, we all have these regional things where, oh, if you're from Lake Charles, Baton Rouge guys, Point Capee, we are all pulling in the same direction. We all want the same things. We all want the best for this institution. We want the best for the students that choose to come to this institution. And we want the best for the communities that this institution serves. And a few things that I want to focus on very briefly is to make sure that we have the most qualified person possible to fill the shoes of Dr. Belton. I know you all have seen the finalists that we've got. I will make a bit of an announcement a little later about where the board interaction will come into play on that. But that is of my utmost concern, to make sure that the process is fair and that at the end of the day, we have someone who we are comfortable with in running this institution. Secondly, and this will definitely be something that I want to focus on with the new president, and not to say we won't focus on it with Dr. Belton, but it's something that's always pivotal in my mind. I oftentimes feel that everyone who has attended an HBCU has the same love and appreciation for the HBCU. Everyone says, my experience at this HBCU was life-changing. But they also have the same negatives. We all oftentimes feel like we lack in customer service for some reason. We treat students as though they should be glad that we let them on campus, not as though they are paying for a service, and that that service should be delivered in high quality. And that, you know, we've got to step up to the plate when people are emailing, calling, and provide a level of customer service that lets the family and the student know that they are part of a family and that we appreciate them. We appreciate the dollars that they spend with us. Look, those dollars are hard earned for those families, and they've got choices. And when they choose to come to your institution, we have to make sure that they understand that they are valued. So that is something I definitely want to focus on. The other thing that is pivotal in my mind is sometimes as a board, we see things about equity raises or trying to level the playing field. And I think oftentimes we think about these things from individual colleges and not from the institution as a whole. And too often we will see where maybe SUBR or the Law Center or the Accent, not to single out anybody, but we'll say, okay, we see a pay disparity between men and women. We're going to fix the pay disparity. But we don't see it from a holistic university standpoint, where we're saying, hey, look, if there's a problem with pay disparity, we're going to look at it across the board. If there's a problem with inequities, we're going to look at it across the board. We tout ourselves as a system, as the only HBCU system. We should act like a system and look at things across the board. And lastly, to my individual board members, I want us all to engage. I think one of our primary focuses has got to be recruitment. And I think every board member is a great ambassador for this institution. Every board member is a leader in their community. And every board member can tell the story of this institution and what it means to them, what it has done for them, who it has helped. And that engagement and telling that story will grow this institution. And we will get deeper into how we can best do that. But I look forward to having that conversation with each and every one of you and making sure that we serve this institution to the best of our ability. Thank you all. Vice Chair Whitfield.
Thank you. Well said. Of all of the board members here, I think Dr. Tarver knew my dad the longest and the best. And he always said that brevity is best. But I would be remiss if I did not tell you guys how proud, honored, and humbled that I am to have been selected by such an esteemed group of people to serve as vice chair. I did tell Shorty that it seems like my only role is that if he dies, then I take over. But I will do my best to serve him well. Hope he don't. We get sick. How about that?
I've got other stuff for you to do.
You got- But I would like to first of all thank my mother Shirley Whitfield, who's here, my sister Giselle. But what I'm most proud of, guys, and my mom would be honored to pass that torch is my beautiful wife Kiara. His knowledge. Des Moines, hell of a job, brother. You set the bar high, and so we have a lot of work to do. But I'm excited about the board. I'm excited about Shorty. We're gonna do some big things, and we want you guys to hold us accountable. And we're gonna be very responsive to not just the board members, but to our faculty, staff, and administration as well. So thank you, guys. Love all of y'all, and I truly appreciate this opportunity.
Certainly. Mr. President.
Take some things out of line, but I do think it appropriate to acknowledge the fact that this university system has benefited from some exceptional leaders over the course of my tenure. I speak of certainly the President Emeritus, Dr. Leon Tarver, the chair lady of this board, the Honorable Ann Smith, and absolutely the tenure of Attorney Des Moines Rutledge. I would note, and I think all the chancellors would agree, that over the course of the last few years, we could make note of a number of substantive accomplishments that have taken place with across the university system. But I would further argue that none of that would have occurred without the support of this board, and in keeping with the leadership of this board. And so I stand on behalf of the entirety of the Southern University system and salute the outgoing chair, Mr. Moyne Rutledge, for his exceptional leadership over the last 3 years, in keeping with his fiduciary responsibility to shape and guide this university system. We are, in fact, better off as a result. And so on behalf of my colleagues, we would like to take this opportunity just to present a small token of our appreciation to both the outgoing chair and subsequently the outgoing vice chair of this board in recognition of your commitment to Southern University.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman.
Very kind of you. Thank you.
So why don't we go out here if you don't mind? Maybe we could ask the chancellors to join with us.
Swear us out. Good. How are you, man? I'm doing good.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. The chair would recognize Mr. Des Moines Rutledge.
I really wanted this whole day to be about our new leadership. And I want to say again that I'm looking forward to following their leadership. And I'm glad this board spoke with one voice in selecting both of them, because we've got a lot of confidence in both of you guys. I do want to say this, though. I thank each of you, particularly our leadership and Dr. Belton, for the very kind words, but it's been a team effort. There's no way I can take credit unilaterally for anything we've done. I've called upon a lot of these board members in our moments of challenge where we needed to make some really tough decisions and got really good advice. And so I thank each of you for your kind words. I know I upset some people over the course of my chairmanship. So I meant no harm. I apologize if I offended anybody. I must tell this though. And I was trying to reach Dr. Belton about a matter a couple of days ago, and I couldn't get him. He wouldn't return my phone call. He wouldn't respond to my text. And so I reached out to Dr. Williams to say, where is he? Is he okay? Is he in the hospital? I knew the Cowboys had lost, and so I didn't know if he was, I didn't know if he was in intensive care or what. So finally, Bartholomew, he called me. Well, lo and behold, he had blocked me out of my number out of his telephone. I said, well, Dr. Belton, I know I won't be chairman anymore, but I still have a vote. I'm not going.
He was following instructions.
Yeah, he was. So be careful, because when you're no longer chairman, you may get your phone blocked. Thank you all.
I don't know how that happened.
All righty. Mr. President, can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. And Happy New Year to everyone. Roll call. Mr. Sam Gilliam, Dr. Leon Tarver, Mr. Lawson, Mrs. Reeves, Mrs. Smith, Miss Williams, Attorney Shorty.
Present.
You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You didn't call my name, but I'm here. I got blocked and
Sometimes you're always the last to know.
We're speaking of the Academic Affairs Committee. I'm sorry. It's not on that committee.
Okay.
This is the Academic Affairs Committee.
Well, before we get into academic affairs, we're going to do some of these special presentations, letting everyone to know that there are public comment cards in the back of the room. If you want to make a public comment, just fill out the card and pass them up to Dr. Renee. I'll change up a little bit. What I want to do is the special presentations before we go into academic affairs. And let's see. Recognize. Okay. Well, before we move to adopt the agenda. We're gonna pull these off.
I think we could do all of those under the academic affairs.
Okay, okay. Let's do it now. Let's do it now with the recognition of the board office. Okay, you want to do it now? Okay,
Yeah, we could do all of those under the academic affairs.
okay,
So
perfect.
we just adopt the agenda.
Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? All in favor? Any opposed? The agenda is adopted. The chair would recognize Dr. Tarver for item GA.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, it is an honor and a privilege to take this opportunity to recognize and to acknowledge and to service a cause that has brought us all together, kept us together in something called leadership. Our outgoing chairman has exemplified that throughout the course of his career that I've known him, but particularly in the 3 years that he has served as our chairman during very difficult times. There's hardly ever been a chairman that's had to face the kind of circumstances that we have all faced, and certainly he had faced during this great pandemic. And we're still going through it. And in light of the quality of service and the leadership that he has shown and demonstrated, I would like to move that this board bestow upon this outgoing chairman the title of Chairman Emeritus. And I would hope that that would set satisfaction with this board, and I so move.
Seconded by Dr. Whitfield. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion is carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman Emeritus.
No longer blind.
You're still not getting the keys back.
Thank you, thank you.
The chair would recognize Dr. Whitfield.
I'd like to bring to the front Director Brister, is he still in the building? And the state championship Southern University Laboratory School football team. Give it up for the Lab Club. Give it up for the Lab. Director Brister, do you have any comments as the fellas approach? Fellas, can y'all throw it up for me one time real quick? There we go, there we go, there we go, there we go.
Thank everyone. Chairman Shorty, Dr. Belton, members of the board, I would like to first say it's an honor and a pleasure to be here. Our athletic director, Roman Banks, has the phrase, Southern is the standard. And the laboratory school is part of that standard, lockstep with the university in which it works under. And these young men and Coach Asbury did an excellent job this year, setting the stage and setting the bar for what the laboratory school is about in terms of excellence. And we're going to continue that excellence, not only athletically, but academically as well. Our commitment academically is to deliver a national blue ribbon to this board for academics and to continue the legacy of athletics that these young men have started and brought back to the laboratory school. With that, I'll turn the mic over real briefly to Coach Asbury to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone, to the board, Dr. Belton, to the Chancellor. I want to say, Dr. Whitfield, you sat in my meetings, and I want to say thank you for allowing me to be Coach Asbury. These young men have exemplified hard work, and it paid off starting way back in the summer. And I want these young men to understand that life it's going to change for you. This chapter in your life is about to be over in about 4 months, but Southern University Laboratory School has prepared you to move on and be successful in life. And I want to say to my director, thank you for allowing me to run the football team. I really appreciate that. That meant a lot. And it gives me the freedom to be able to deal with these young men and to their parents. They have been the backbone. And I want to say in closing, if there's anything that Coach Asbury can do, don't hesitate to call. But again, God has given you an opportunity. It's going to be what you do. It's going to be up to what you do with it. You can, it's only two kind of people. And you know what I'm going to tell you. You gotta, winners hang with winners, losers hang with losers. There's no other way to tell you that. And you have to understand what side of the fence you want to be on. But there's only two types of people: those that want to be a part of Southern University Laboratory School and those that are a part of Southern University Laboratory School. And thank you all for your time.
They're not ready for it. Under the water. All right.
Chair, we recognize Mr. Rutledge.
Young men leave. I happened to coincidentally, when they were in New Orleans to play for the state championship, I was at the same hotel at a different meeting and got an opportunity to see these young men who represented themselves, their families, the lab school, but the university very, very well. And Coach Asbury was kind enough to ask me to say a word to the team, to give them a pep talk, you know. And so I'd like to think that something that I said kind of inspired them to, but Dr. Whitfield said it didn't. But I want you guys to know that we had a board meeting going on at the same time as you guys were playing. But I want you to know on all of the monitors, as well as this big screen, we were watching you guys be successful and compete for a state championship. So I want to congratulate Coach Asbury, team, and all of the coaches, Mr. Brister, and everybody who invested in you guys. And I also want you guys to know that I believe between Mr. Keith Tillage, who's a graduate and a very ardent supporter in the foundation, the work is already underway to make certain that you guys get championship rings. So congratulations again.
Thank you, Mr. Rutledge. Relative to our special presentation from the Jefferson Parish Council, we're going to move that to the main board meeting. Councilman Lee had some obligations in Jefferson Parish before he could head out this way, so hopefully we'll get to him a little bit later. We're going to remove the presentation from Center Point. And now I will recognize Dr. Penning for the AEP Foundation check presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, board members. Absolute delight and pleasure to be before you. Today's presentation, I'll be very brief, speaks really to the importance and how critical we view partnerships and our partners at Sussex University. It also speaks to what we consider the drivers of innovation at Sussex, which are our faculty, our staff, and our students. So today it gives me great pleasure to highlight the work of Dr. Kenny Moses, one of our distinguished faculty members who's also the department head for the Engineering and Technology program, who serves as the principal investigator for this award that we're going to be hearing in a second. I also want to thank Ms. Stephanie Rogers publicly for her hard contributions to this effort. What's the purpose of the grant? Very briefly, to set up a state-of-the-art laboratory where our students and faculty will engage in hands-on experience that will prepare our students to be job ready and to enter the workforce as technicians qualified to start on day one. None of this would happen without our partner. And I want to say a word about our partner, SWEPCO. Much appreciation to the everyday men and women of SWEPCO, the Southwestern Electric Power Company, who work hard to meet the expectations of their customers by building and maintaining the electric grid, along with advancing new technology and making sure that the system is smarter and more reliable. And something our incoming chair said that is a hallmark of this company, and that is 2 words: customer service. So at this point, it gives me great pleasure to bring forth Mr. Michael Corbin, who is the Vice President and Manager for SWEPCO, to come forward, offer brief remarks, and make his presentation. Board members, thank you very kindly, and please join me in welcoming Mr. Michael Corbin.
Good morning, Dr. Belton, Chairman, board members, chancellors, staff. It's a pleasure to be with you again. It's refreshing to attend a board meeting, first board meeting of the year. I've had the opportunity to do this many times and to experience the new life and the new energy and the new path forward. And I wish you a very prosperous 2022, a number that's actually hard to say. How can we be there? On behalf of the AEP Foundation and the leadership of Southwestern Electric Power Company, I come before you again today. I was here about 6 months ago with you in New Orleans as we were fast tracking a meeting as a hurricane was blowing in. We were able to provide a grant then for STEM education at SUSLA and at 3 other HBCUs across the country in our service area. Today, we come with a big check to support the engineering and technology program at SUSLA. What we hope is that there will be young men and women exit this program and be able to enter directly into our internship because the electrical and utility fields, much like many other fields, there is difficulty in getting young people involved and interested in these careers. They're good careers, they're high-paying careers, and they are careers. And so we are just happy to be a part of that. So with that said, I'd like to present $100,000 from the AEP Foundation.
I just thank you as the chair of the committee, here for.
Okay. And now I recognize Dr. Sahu for the path forward to becoming a Carnegie classified R2 research university.
Good morning. Happy New Year to everybody, to our friends of Southern University. Mr. Chairman of the Academic Affairs Committee is Mr. Sam Gilliam, Chair of Board of Supervisors, Attorney Shorty, Vice Chair, and members of the Board of Supervisors, and my President Chancellor. Thank you for the opportunity to make this presentation. While we do routine things well at our university, we also want to be the best university that we can be, something that Attorney Shorty just alluded to. We want to provide the best customer service, but at the same time, we want to be recognized for what we are and what we are capable of. And this presentation is a way to demonstrate our commitment to be better. December 2021, we got a notice from University of Indiana, Bloomington, where Carnegie Classification Board is housed, that we have now the choice or the opportunity to be recognized as a doctoral research intensive university. I informed my president and got his affirmation, and I want you to announce that we are now nationally recognized as a doctoral research intensive university. Thank you. This effort started a few years ago. The faculty has been engaged in this. The deans have been engaged in this. I made a presentation to all the research doctoral faculty. They have been engaged and approved, of our effort. So the R2 classification is the best next logical step. In 2018, the Carnegie classification criteria changed, where they now included not only the research PhDs, but also the professional PhDs. For example, we have at our university in the College of Nursing and Allied Health, 2 PhD programs. One is a research intensive PhD. The other is a doctoral in nursing practice. So now our productivity in both these PhD programs will be included and to gain us the Carnegie classification. And I want you to know that we are making every effort to, in the short run, to be a Carnegie classified research to university. There are about 4,000 universities that are reviewed every 3 years by the Carnegie Group, and Carnegie classification will place Southern University among the top 6% of college and universities in the nation. Only 139 universities are included in this category up to date, of which 11 are HBCUs. Most recent additions were Morgan State University and Tennessee State University. This is the list of universities that are included among the HBCU sister schools, and there is no reason why Southern University and Baton Rouge should not be included. I want to allude to the fact, the Chairman Shorty mentioned about inequities. In our state system, there are 4 classifications. One classification is the flagship, the other is the state, third is a regional university, a fourth, which has just been included, is an HBCU. Until we were recognized as the classification of HBCU, Southern University was recognized not just even a state university, but as a regional university. So our effort to become a doctoral research intensive university, next a Carnegie classified university, will give us the recognition we much deserve, and this faculty can take credit of. I've had many conversations with the president, and I was hoping that he will be there in 2025 to receive this classification, but we want to give credit to him for, initiating and approving this initiative. This initiative, I just imagine this is 2025. This happened because of faculty commitment, because of our renewed commitment to sponsored research, working collaboratively with federal and research agencies, and also at our own university. But we don't do research for itself. We do research because it is harnessed to good teaching. We do research because This is where innovation happens. This is where not only innovation in the laboratory, but innovation in the classroom, where we provide the best instruction to our students. Here are some examples of monies that are available that we can take advantage of. By becoming a Carnegie classified university, we will be able to get more money in terms of indirect cost. If there is a 43%, we can jump to 52% indirect cost. All these funds will benefit not only the faculty members who are successful in getting these grants, but in terms of enhancing our capacity, enhancing our infrastructure at the university. In the 2020 spending bill, I have not had an opportunity to update it to 21, which I will. Funding to HBCUs increased by $325 million. By becoming a Carnegie classified university, we will get our fair share of these $325 million, including National Science Foundation and the other federal agencies. The Department of Defense Minority Initiative in the areas of hypersonic directed energy, all these areas, they want HBCU minority institution to pursue specifically increased ranking in the Carnegie classification. So our effort to be a Carnegie classified university is in the right direction. The National Institute of Health has a Path to Excellence initiative, and it is directly beneficiary to the minority serving institutions. The Department of Education, the FIPSI, Minority Science and Engineering Improvement Program, we will have access to many R01 grants. Many of our faculty members now will be able to compete for some of the grants that they could not because we were not a Carnegie classified university. How will we accomplish it, you might ask? We have already done that, and we are going to do even more to repurpose the PhD in nursing. The DNP in nursing now is more friendly to the people, to the candidates who are interested in the program. We are making it a low residency where it is in a creative way, where the students will be coming at the beginning of this semester, at the end of this semester, and also using our enhanced technology to provide hybrid classes at times where they can keep their full-time jobs, but also participate in instruction. We have been able to expand the PhD in public policy, credit to the Nelson Mandela College, where we had a traditional PhD in public policy. Now we have an executive PhD policy that enhances our ability to produce more PhDs in the public policy area. These are proposals that I have in mind that I have presented to the faculty for their consideration, to have more interdisciplinary biosciences program. We have, the marijuana program that we want to make it into a medicinal, plants program, and see how creatively we can create, have a PhD program in pharmacy or in one of those areas. We want to enhance the public policy to be a more integrative public policy that could have history, public policy, agriculture, resource policy, international development policy, healthcare policy disparities, ag economics, natural resources, geopolitical issues and initiative. As the only HBCU system in the country, as the preeminent HBCU, this is something that we could aspire to. And I think we, within the next 3 to 5 years, should see some activities that will make all of these possible. At least we will be on our path to produce some of these disciplines that we are talking about. We have very good partnership with Boeing and other aerospace institutions and with NASA. So we would like to provide advanced manufacturing. All of these will enhance not only our ability to provide PhD programs, but also filter through, seep through to our graduate, to our master's, and to our undergraduate program. We are in the process of exploring and offering a PhD in counseling and PhD in pathobiology. We have an opportunity to unleash our creative energies to take advantage of this new classification. The Board of Regents focus on the 2030 Master Plan, Louisiana Prospers, requires that we provide 23% more credentials among the HBCUs in the state. I think this quest to be a research-intensive university will not only allow us to provide those credentials, but add quality to what we are offering to the state. We have an opportunity also to do some reform in terms of our curriculum, to keeping in mind the focus on equity and social justice. How are we going to do it? I present to you the 5 E's. It starts with envisioning. It has happened at our institution where this is part of sharing the vision of becoming a better university, having wildly important goals, becoming a Carnegie classified university. Then we get in buy-in from the stakeholders. We have done that at the grassroots levels, and I think we have an opportunity to take this and have more industry partners, have more legislative and federal at the federal and state levels to support us in our initiative. Next is to provide funds, enable in terms of funding support to make this possible. And there are many initiatives. I have talked with the Vice Chancellor for Research, who is providing seed money to the newly hired agriculture area. Has the ag science area is now providing seed money to the new faculty members in terms of setting up labs. So this enabling is going to be important. And the next is to get out of the way of people to use their creative energies to bring about the innovation, bring about the change that is necessary in our labs and in our classrooms. And last, most important, not just make a presentation here today, but keep on providing you, timely reports and updates, and that is to execute the plan. And I think it is very doable, and I ask for your support, and let's do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sahu. I want to commend both you and Dr. Belton on your vision in trying to get this done. I think this is the kind and we'll make sure that our university is seen on a national level. But I really appreciate this presentation. Now, any other board members on this issue? Now, Mr. Gillum, I can stop holding your Academic Affairs Committee hostage, and I will turn the floor over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. First order of business, I believe, is to go back, looking at council, we need to go back and get, I believe, public comments. So we will ask at this point, so that we're in order, to, would there be any individuals who would like to come forth and make public comments regarding anything on the agenda items? Have we received any electronic communications regarding any of the items here? Seeing no one? No, thank you very much, Dr. Before we get to, again, I would like to add congratulations to our newly elected chair and vice chair, and say to you, we thank you very much for offering yourselves up. We offer too congratulations to your families, because you have 5 members of this board who are former chairpersons. They can readily tell you this is not only a journey for you, it's a journey for your families as well. So we appreciate the families for allowing you to serve us and serve the university. I don't think we can give enough kudos to our former president, Attorney Rutledge, before we get into the agenda, because he has piloted us through some rather challenging times, especially during the pandemic. And again, Attorney Rutledge, we want to say congratulations. We thank you. And again, we thank your family, because we know the many nights that they have had to support you in terms of the challenges that you go through as a chairperson. Thank you very much. Okay, we go on to action item H. The very first one, first of all, backing up a little bit, the item that we just completed, special presentations that was presented by Dr. Sahu. Just a point of observation. We may not realize the significance of this designation, but this is, as one of our staff members once said, this is moving us toward that gold standard as a university to get this doctoral research intensive designation. Item HA, and of course, committee, how would you prefer? I'd like possibly, Dr. Sahu, we're going to have to call on you again, if you would give us some observation in terms of A and B, if you will.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm requesting that you consider and approve the Master of Science in Family and Consumer Science. And we have several undergraduate programs And all of these programs will feed into the Master of Science graduate program and will fulfill a market need and will prepare our students for productive careers in areas where we have these undergraduate programs in the college. I also request your approval for a proposed curriculum change that will help the clinical rehabilitation counseling and the clinical mental health counseling program joined together to be the counseling department. And that will allow the clinical mental health counseling also to gain accreditation. And the same way the clinical rehabilitation counseling already has. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sabu. And before we offer this for approval or a motion, under the item HB, one question, one consideration.
Yes.
What impact is this going to have on the students who are currently enrolled in that program? Will those students who are currently enrolled, will they be somehow contractually recognized to complete their program within the current standard?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They will be. One of the things that I think what the board would like, would appreciate is that these two programs where one was housed in the College of Nursing and Allied Health, the other was in the Humanities and Interdisciplinary Studies. So they had separate courses, that similar courses that were being taught at different colleges. So this integration allows us to save at least 3 faculty positions. There are 9 courses that are similar that they will be taking, but they will still have their distinct autonomy in terms of a discipline.
Sure. From a student perspective, then, no time limit. They won't be expected to remain here any longer than necessary.
No, sir. No, sir.
We need. Okay. Chair is open then for a motion. Okay. It has been moved and seconded by Mrs. Williams and seconded by Dr. Tarver, I believe, that action items A and B would be offered for approval. Those in favor, please let it be known by sign of aye. Those opposed, nay. Item action A and B are subsequently approved. Thank you. We're doing C separately because of the significance of it. It is a request of approval to grant Dr. Nadia Nadzo, and I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, the status of emeritus professor, and this comes from the Law Center. And first of all, Chairman, okay, it has been moved and second that we would approve this designation for emeritus for Dr. Nadia Nadzo as emeritus professor. Those in favor, please let it be known by sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So ordered. This item is thus approved. Chairman Pierre, is Dr. Nadzo here in the audience today?
Is enjoying retirement in South Carolina.
Started early. Fantastic. Let's do it. But please let her know that we appreciate her service and wish her well. Item I, other business. Hearing none, we move to item J, adjournment. It's been moved and second that the Academic Affairs Committee would stand adjourned. Those in favor, let it be known by sign of aye. Opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Gillum. Mr. Gillum, we're going to stay with you and move on to the Facilities and Property Committee.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. Let us call the Facilities and Properties Committee to order. Mr. President, would you please give us a roll call?
Yes. Mr. Gilliam,
Present.
Dr. Whitfield, Mr. Bartholomew, Mr. Hilliard, Mr. Lawson, Dr. Tarver, Attorney Shorty.
Here.
You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next item is the adoption of the agenda. What's your pleasure? It's been moved and second that we would adopt the agenda as printed. Those in favor, please let it be known by sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Our agenda is thus adopted. Item number 4, are there any public comments regarding any of the agenda items before the Facilities and Property Committee? Any digital? See no one approach, no digital responses.
Mr. Gillum,
Yes,
if I could for 1 second,
Please.
I would just remind everyone when they're making a motion to say their name, and if you're seconded to say your name as well, so the record is clear as to who made the motion and who seconded and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We should be so advised. Okay, we're down to number 5, and I believe all of these are informational items, and I believe we already have at the podium the Venerable Mr. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chair, Mr. President, and honorable board members. I would like to continue with the congratulations. I think Southern University's future is getting brighter and brighter and brighter. Mr. President asked me to just kind of bring a highlight to the campuses. And on the first on the agenda at Southern Baton Rouge, I want to start with the Fisher Hall renovation. However, I could not go through this without thanking Dr. McMeans for his hard work, his staff getting out of Fisher Hall and into A.O. Williams. I know that we've had some setbacks, but they are there on one side of the building in A.O. Williams. Also, I'd like to tell you that we got the FEMA approval for the road that leads back to you. And so that they're hauling dirt in today. They started today, and that project will be complete this summer. They have a 75-day construction timeline. So we should be able to get back to you and your team. Also, I think the mega center, the disaster center, is going to be huge for the university, huge for the Ag Center, and they've put a lot of work into that. But on to SUBR. Fisher Hall renovation is taking place. It came in over bid, and we had to adjust some of our major repairs dollars to go ahead and fulfill that bid to get them started. The reason we did that is because if we wouldn't have, we would have to start the process all over. So for it to get going, they're actually starting next month in that space. The STEM building, I relaxed some of our architectural requirements for the campus because the STEM building is going to look like a spaceship has just dropped down onto the campus. It's going to be a state-of-the-art facility. And Dr. Carrier has really bent over backwards to get his people in these meetings to push that programming phase forward. And that's the part where we try to really look at the amount of space allotted for every classroom, for every office, to see what each department needs. So those meetings are taking place and they're cooperating fully. I highlighted the sewer lift station because we're getting to that rainy season, and at some point it's going to be underwater. And so we're really rushing that through. Ravine Repair, I mentioned at the last board meeting that those repairs are starting behind the health center and the parking lot back in the back by the Millennial Apartments. That process is underway, so you'll see people on the campus now getting that done, and that will be the permanent fix there. We were talking about a temporary fix, but we're gonna put the effort in to do the permanent fix and then address the outfall to the river after that. Let me see. The Susla. I met with Dr. Penning yesterday, and the enthusiasm to get these projects, I think he's passed you up. So, but I'm very happy to announce that the Collier Science Building, you know, that campus, that building is central to science. That's where all the labs and everything were. And to have that building, that second floor shut down like it is, we need to hurry up and get this project moving. And so I can announce to you that it is moving. When it comes to the gymnasium, we added that money to building a new gymnasium. And so we separated demolition, well, no, separated, we had demolition and the building of the new separated. But it seems like, I mean, they were combined, but it seems like the new chancellor would like us to demo that as quickly as we can. So all of the letters that go out to the representatives and the senators, they have come back with no objections. So we're clear to move on the demo of the building. The building of the new gymnasium, we need our team to make sure that gets passed through the legislature with capital outlay. We need to make sure that happens.
But let me ask you, the demo aspect of it, we're talking about what, within the next couple of months, maybe?
Yeah, so as of our meeting, and I got on the phone as soon as he left with Board of Regents, and they moved all of that money at my request into the new project. And so now we have to put that money back in that line item. And so I think the money should be moved because it has to be cash only. It can't come from another project. I can't just move it that quickly. So the Board of Regents is trying to find the cash to put it back in the line item. So I can't really go on record to say exactly when it's going to happen. I can tell you that the conversation has started, and I'm actually going back on what I asked them to do initially. So can I just keep you posted on that timeline? Drainage, we have a drainage project. There's some leaking valves around the horseshoe. And so just like we did on Baton Rouge's campus, we're gonna go in there and fix the valves and the underground plumbing that's associated with those valves first, before we talk about the road overlay in Shreveport. In New Orleans, we're going through and catching all the bathrooms, bringing them up to ADA certification. And I've met with their police chief. It seems like the concern over there are really the guard gates and just security around the perimeter. And so we're going to address that. So these are the highlights, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Question one, on the Suno campus in particular, looked like a rather short list. I mean, have you stayed in some consultation with Dr. Ammons to see?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm speaking a little low. In the Suno situation, it's kind of a short list here. Have you been in collaboration with Dr. Ammons to make sure that this is addressing the facilities needs there?
You know, their facilities personnel over in New Orleans, there's some issues with some of the new buildings that came up. So it's a lot of repair work and not new project or capital outlay work that needs to get done. The way the state and the Board of Regents is looking at it, they've poured millions into new buildings, and now we just got to keep them going.
In other words, those new buildings are not new anymore. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah, I remember most of those are post-Katrina.
They are.
Dr. Ammons? Okay, it's been a while. Some wear and tear taken in. Sure.
Mr. Gillum.
Any questions? Yes,
Right
questions, comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Congratulations, Chair. Yes, I look at all these names and very credible contractors and that you're working with, but I'm curious, and I'm asking you to get that information now. How many of these contractors are Southern University related graduates and are minority owned? I'd like to see that very near future and make sure that we're doing business with folks that support our institution. And I may be speaking alone in the wilderness, but we certainly have to give that priority.
Yes, sir. I will tell you that at the first architectural selection board meeting that I was invited to, that's the place where you get up and represent your school as far as what project you're going to do. But I didn't know that.
Right.
I was new, and they asked me to, did I want to say a few words? And of course, I got up and I said exactly what you just said. And they had to tell me, no, you're just supposed to talk about the project. But I started talking about Southern graduates and minority architects and engineers that are not present. After that, it seems like every project that comes out from Southern University, a majority engineer or architectural firm has a minority partner. I know that's a small step, but that is a step. And what I'm doing is I have a relationship with FP&C where we talk about it, and they came to visit me on the campus. And with all of the huge projects, we have huge projects that are coming online. Every one of them has a minority partner.
Fantastic.
Question.
I'm sorry,
Just follow.
Mr. Mark.
And even though, let's say they are majorities now, there's nothing wrong with them, even after the conversation now that's within the law, Mr. DeQueer and Madam Blosh, Attorney Blosh, if we ask them to utilize the ancillary services such as demolition, find minority contractors, and I'd like to see a very active initiative that's supported by this board, Mr. Chair, to do that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Pondell.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here on this morning. I just want to kind of echo what Mr. Lawson is saying with regards to the minority participation.
I know we have a lot of things that are going on within the system. And I know a lot of times we look at just the construction part. We often need to look at other things like supplies that we buy. Who are we buying these things from? We have graduates that are throughout the system. And even if we don't have graduates, we also have business owners. And this is, I believe this is a way of us uplifting our community in all these different parts of the state. So I know it's construction, but I also say to those, our leaders that are here, we should take a look at looking at the other services that we do provide as providing opportunities from really within our community to advance folks. And I would say that we would look into that. And that's probably a conversation for another time, but I just wanted to thank Brother Lawson for bringing that up at this time. Thank you.
Good point, well taken, and we appreciate it.
Mr.
Yeah, in
Gillen,
the area of procurement, I hear another,
if I could,
please, sir.
I would like to echo those comments made by Mr. Lawson, Mr. Fondale. I think we've got to make a point of making sure that the contractors are not just hiring a minority to meet a small quota. That if we can make a minority the prime, we're making the minority the prime. Because too often we become complacent with small percentages being involved and saying, oh, they've got 10% minority participation, 15% minority, that's good enough. No, and where we can help individuals increase capacity, we should do that. And I think that's something that we're going to be focused on to make sure that we're bringing folks to the table who can support this institution and reflect the diversity of this institution.
Yes, sir. And I will say this, coming to this and hearing this from you arms me with what I need to push that. I know that our purchasing department, Ms. Antoine, calls me and she tells me about minority vendors, and she sends them back to me. So she's been doing that. I can tell you that McMeans in the ag department, everything going on in Baker, all of those are minority architects, engineers, and contractors. So he's pushing it. I am in a position where I have one vote on that architectural selection board. And then when we go into a closed room, just with the board members to start talking about why I would like to do things or why I like this particular vendor, there's an attorney that will say, you can't say that. You guys you can't talk like that in the meeting. So, so that's what I'm facing, and I am trying, but with your support, I am armed with what I need to keep pushing.
Mr. Pitts, let me clarify. You are on the AE committee with the Board of Regents?
No, I'm the president's representative for architectural selection. So when Capital Outlay has a project and it goes before the architectural selection board, I represent Southern University's system as of now.
You're the point person. Fantastic. Well, by the way, too, I have to make an observation. Just yesterday in Shreveport, the extension of the law center that we're all familiar with because we've looked at it. Yesterday they had a walkthrough, and the mayor Adrian Perkins was there. Many of the Caddo commissioners, Woodrow Wilson, who is executive director, who has helped us a lot, and a lot of other politicals and people, partners, stakeholders. Here's where I'm going with it. The insight that Chancellor Pierre and his people who are head starting that, the prime contractor, I'm happy to say, and I was very excited when I walked in, is a minority contractor, Hall Builders. He's a product of the old Fair Share program, Mr. Lawson, we had back in the 2000s, started small, grew now one of the largest contractors in the area. My point I'm saying is that there are minority and women contractors who are out there who are what we call ready, willing, and able. And they must be ready, willing, and able. They must be able to do the job. They must have the scope to do it. The whatever the insurance, whatever the case may be. But I'm saying if Chancellor Pierre was able to find them, I know they're out there. And I was very excited, and the mayor and everyone else to have, and because Mr. Hall, he's bona fide. He sets a standard for black, white, or undecided in that area.
I'll push it. I'll push it.
Sam,
Yes.
I was gonna make a comment. I know that, and I'm not sure what it's called, but I've spoken to a local contractor, African-American contractor, graduate of Southern. And there are some grants that allow minority businesses to attach themselves to these larger construction companies. And so they may do $1 million project and the African-American based company comes in and does a $300,000 floor job. They can list that later on their resume as being a part of their project. So it helps them in the future to get these jobs. So I think that's good. But again, back to what Myron said, I think that we need to be where we can without violating anything, looking for African-American contractors. But I think these contracts allow these smaller based firms to get to be attached to bigger projects to say, hey, I was a part of the $3 million project at Southern or wherever. But you know, they only did the floor job. So it can be a little deceiving as well, but it also helps these guys in the future.
Because there is a disparity study in the city parish government here in this area that was funded, I believe, by the mayor and the council, city parish, I don't know what you all call it here, Brother Pitts, city council, but it's been funded. In other words, you can do some things with a disparity study that, of course, you cannot do when you don't have one. We don't have one in Shreveport Cattle, but the idea is we started just like you're doing it now. We would let a project and simply say to them, look, we quote unquote expect you to do such and such. And by the time, believe me, a major contractor, by the time they get through going through your questions, your change orders, legitimate questions, you get the idea. And you're staying totally legal. And it will depend on council to make sure that we're totally in line with public bid laws. And I think it can be done, but I think you're taking a very good first step, Mr. Pitts. There was some other question, Mr. Fonda.
Just a quick follow-up, just to make us aware. We have a $200+ million budget that we manage each year. And of which the question is, what is the participation? Are we the minority or the majority? And that, I think that may be a question legal counsel may look at, you know, and I think Brother Lawson mentioned it just a second ago as far as putting folks, instead of them being minorities, the majority bidders on some of these contracts also. And I know there are guidelines that go into it. So I'm just saying we have it within our budget here to make some inroads in our communities throughout the state. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I think it's a protocol and establishing and vendors are supported of the engineering firm or contractor work. Those things are determined by the committee to appoint the contractors, if I'm not awarding the contract. And there are certain guidelines that they have to follow, if I'm not mistaken. Now, and I think this is the area that we need to look into to see how we can divert some of that standard type of process and put some meanings into it that would accommodate the people that we're trying to accommodate. If not, then you're still gonna have the same demeanor that you're gonna be dealing with constantly. One man on the committee and a whole bunch of other folks determine who gets what. Then it becomes the crumb part of it. You'll get the crumbs from the general contractor. So if there are some possibilities that legislative can be done to appropriate protocol that would allow us or allow the board itself to consider the minority factor even through the legislation components, a possibility that could be done as well. So there's ways of doing it, but just having a conversation is not going to happen. I take legal action some kind of way down the road to make it happen. That's the only thing. And I appreciate your efforts. And I know how that one man, one vote thing is when you're a bunch of other folks. So I just want to let you know that.
And it obviously is not easy, or else it would have been done already. We understand.
Can I report back to the board in 1 month? Because I really believe there are some things that are in place in our procurement office. I'm just not really aware of them totally. But let me let you know what we are doing. We are doing something.
Fantastic. I think that's what Mr. Lawson, myself, and others are soliciting from Mr. Pitts.
Okay.
And we won't belabor the point at this time.
Okay.
All right. We'll just wait to hear from you.
Yes, sir.
Are there any other questions or points of clarification from Mr. Pitts? Fantastic job you're doing, sir. Just encourage you and ask you to please keep it up.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Other business. Hearing no other business, we move to item number 7, adjournment.
So moved, Dr. Whitfield.
It has been moved by by Dr. Whitfield and second by. You join this committee, don't you? Okay. Who did I get that second from? Okay, Mr. Lawson.
Thank you, Mr. Gillum. We will now turn it over to our Finance Committee Chairman, Ms. Williams.
Congratulations and thank you to the former chair for all the work you have done. I would like to call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order. Roll call, please, Mr. President.
Yes. Ms. Williams,
Present.
Mr. Lawson, Mr. Gilliam, Mrs. Reeves, Attorney Rutledge, Dr. Tarver, Attorney Shorty.
Here.
You have a quorum, madam.
Thank you. I would like to entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Moved by Mr. Gilliam. Second by Mr. Rutledge. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4, public comments. Do I have any? Item 5, action item, request approval for the mid-year budget adjustments fiscal year 22, Southern University system. Mr. McClinton.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, Mr. President, and other members of the board. You have an item before you, BA7. And this BA7 is basically for the, we are moving money from the system that was appropriated to the Baton Rouge campus and to the Shreveport campus. And the funds for the Baton Rouge campus would be used for scholarships, and the one for Shreveport campus would be used for other operations. And we are requesting your approval on these items.
Thank you, Mr. McClinton. Do I have a motion to approve? Moved by Mr. Rutledge. Second by Mr. Gilliam. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 6 is an informational item, the interim financial reports. Item 7, any other business? I'll accept the motion for adjournment. Moved by Mr. Lawson, second by Mr. Gilliam. All those in favor? Motion passes.
Thank you, Ms. Williams, for your expedition.
Oh, I learned.
Now we'll move to our Personal Affairs Committee, Dr. Tarver.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Dr. Tarver,
Present.
Ms. Reeves, Mr. Fondell, Mr. Bartholomew, Reverend Tolbert, Ms. Williams, Attorney Shorty.
Here.
You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you very much. The item adoption of the agenda. I understand that there's some amendments here. I need a motion to adopt the agenda with amendments. Yes.
There are some amendments.
Okay. You want to explain those amendments that is offering in this motion?
Yes, sir. We were asking this committee to delete action item 5B for further consideration and action item 6.4 and keeping. I'm sorry, in action in item 5C4 in light of a decision of the individual to rescind his offer.
Is there a second on the motion? Been properly moved and seconded that we adopt the agenda with the exceptions of 5B and 5C4. All those in favor, let it know on sign of aye. Those opposed? So have it. Thank you. Public comment. At this time, we've received a card from Dr. Albert Samuels. Dr. Samuels, you want to come forward and offer your expressions?
Good morning. Happy New Year. Very briefly, to the honorable members of the Board of Supervisors, I'd like to comment on action item 5A, which is the request approval of equity adjustments for Southern University A&M College of Baton Rouge for faculty. I rise to support the recommendation here of the administration. This is something that has been long overdue. As you may be aware, and from this platform. Faculty pay has been an issue at this campus for quite some time. Some of that is because of, quite frankly, issues that at the institution where we haven't, quite frankly, prioritized making salaries competitive. And some of that has also been because of things beyond our control. We have had, we've gone through a decade of punishing budget cuts that have limited our resources and resources. And so as in the last few years, as we try to replenish our ranks, the world didn't stop. And so we brought in assistant professors who we had to bring them in at the market, at the rate of the market, which then created equity issues with people who had been here a long time. And so this is a step toward trying to remedy that difficulty, and as a necessary step to move us toward the goal of making faculty salaries at this place competitive, so that we can retain talent at the institution. So this is an important step. I support the administration. I commend Dr. Belton, Dr. Sahu for pushing this to the board, and it deserves to be adopted.
We move on to action items 5A. Request approval of equity adjustments for Southern University Baton Rouge. That is the area that Dr. Sanders just referred to. Can I have a motion to approve that question?
In support of action item 5A.
Okay, is a second? I think I heard that. I couldn't
Yes.
hear.
All right.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we approve item 5A. All those in favor of that on
I have one
side?
comment before we move to a vote, sir.
Oh, yes, sir.
I don't have an opposition to this particular action item, but I would like to see all of our campuses take a look at this kind of thing. If we're going to talk about equity adjustments in Baton Rouge, we're going to talk about them in Shreveport, we're going to talk about them in New Orleans. And if there is a reason that we can't do that, and that reason is enrollment, then we need to be open and honest about that and put it out there. But we shouldn't have a situation where folks at other campuses are looking and saying, well, why am I not getting it? Explain to me why I'm not getting it. Tie it to the numbers and explain to me what is going on. And I want each of our chancellors to take the time to look at it. And if you should bring that to us and say, hey, look, this is what I'm doing in New Orleans. These are the equity adjustments. Either I cannot do them or I can do them. And this is the reason I can or I can't.
Thank you. Mr. Lawson.
I concur. Mr. Chair, the other thing in all of these are worthy considerations, but we've got to be considered also of the fact that we've had some decent times because of a lot of money flowing as a result of COVID. I've said this in the last several meetings. When we're making these decisions and doing these adjustments, we need to make sure that we're going to support these adjustments with reoccurring revenue. That's just a caution that I'd like administrators to hear and the board to be cognizant of as well, because this money's going away. If it hasn't gone, it's certainly dissipating right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fondell.
I'm just curious, are y'all working on some things right now? I know Chairman Shorty mentioned, is there some things in place that y'all may be presently working on or working toward within our different campuses? Yeah, I'm sorry, I should address that to the president.
Well, yes, I think it would be fair to say that all of the chancellors are sensitive to the salary ranges of faculty and staff, and are shaping plans as we go to look at both equity and making sure that our faculty, we have the ability to retain and recruit faculty. One of the things that is promising is the commitment of the state over the last 2 years. This year, the state actually provided resources that enabled us to provide across the board increases to our faculty. The institutions themselves pitched in to and looked at within their own budgets to support adjustments for staff. In a recent meeting, actually that occurred this week, there is clear indication that the state has also committed to bring all faculty up to the SRB average this year, comparable to what occurred years ago under the leadership of Governor Blanco. And so we are very optimistic that this year will be a game changer in terms of our ability to elevate the salary ranges of all of our faculty, from the rank of professor through that of instructor. And in addition to that, there is some indication that the state will also provide resources to support staff increases. And so certainly that would be, we look for that to be within the governor's executive budget this year. And hopefully that would provide for us a starting point such that we could begin to look at both equity and merit, going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rick. Are you finished, Mr.
Well,
Fontaine?
I just wanted to follow up and say that over a period of time, I know we've been working to bring equity. When opportunities have been there, we've given 5% raises. And I know with your support and the support of this board that we've been consistent in trying to meet that. And I know Dr. Samuels is here, so just thank him and his the faculty for their patience in dealing with this. So thank you.
And certainly they have been patient, not only here on the Baton Rouge campus, but across the system on all of our campuses.
Chair recognizes Mr. Gilliam.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, I didn't weigh in on this aspect when the Finance Committee was being held a few minutes ago. First of all, because I'd spoken with Mr. Mack over here, and I promised him that I was going to play nice today. But we've got a situation in terms of the budget that we really need to look at. The situation is, and I'm all about equity, because if you operated on the side where you were the beneficiary of this, you know what I'm talking about. We want to make sure that we get everybody up to SREB. We want to get equity across the board for faculty and our staff, as the case may be. But we have a situation before us. I didn't stretch out on it today because I said we got a commitment from MAC that the chancellors, especially of Shreveport, New Orleans, and Baton Rouge, we're going to develop a plan to look at the budget situation that we're in. Here's the deal. Mr. Lawson was right on key when he says, we can't plan for the future on the basis of CARES Act money. That money is not sustainable. It is not recurring. It's going to run out. I believe legislatively, it sunsets in 24. Someone correct me. Am I right, Matt? It sunsets in 2024, I believe. Here's the deal. And looking at the budget, if you look at it closely, I always look at two aspects of it. We look at the expenditure side, and on across our budgets, the expenditure side is 45% represented by personal services. That's salaries. You also have to compare that against, of course, the next big item, which is expenditures. And as my old fourth grade educator, Pappy, used to say, when income doesn't meet with algo, you got a problem. We're not there yet, but if we're depending solely on CARES Act money, believe me, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be there in short order.
We have a motion on the floor. Discussion is ready. All those in favor, let me know on sign of aye. Those opposed? Motion passed. Thank you very much. Next, we move to item 5C, request approval of personnel action on positions equal to or greater than 60,000. There's no written explanation, Mr. President.
Mr. Chair and members of the board, you have before you 12 recommendations from the various campuses with regard to personal actions to which the campuses find are critical. We ask your favorable consideration of those.
Are there any questions? We have a motion to approve. It's been moved and seconded. Is it moved by you, Mr. Fondell, seconded by Mr. Gilliam? All of those in favor, and on the sign of aye. Those opposed? Thank you. So passed. Next item on the agenda. D, request approval of sabbatical leave and faculty appointment for Dr. Rodney Ellis. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. As it's alluded to in this action item, we have received a request from Dr. Rodney Ellis to assume his tenured professor position at Southern University of Shreveport. In addition, a request for sabbatical leave. I have discussed this in length with Dr. Ellis. We have negotiated an appointment to that regard. That communication is in your supporting documentation, and we therefore ask for your kind consideration of this request.
Any question? Moved by Ms. Williams, seconded by Mr. Fondell, that we approve action item D. All of those in favor, and on the sign of aye. Those opposed, so have it. Next item, other business. Is there any other business before the committee at this time? Hearing none, we have a motion to adjourn. Ms. Reed. Moved by Ms. Reeves and seconded by Mr. Fondell. We are so adjourned.
Thank you, Dr. Tarver. The full meeting of the Southern Board of Supervisors is now called to order. Mr. President, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Attorney Shorty.
Present.
Dr. Whitfield.
Present.
Attorney Armady. Mr. Ptolemy. Dr. Davis. Mr. Fondell. Mr. Gilliam. Mr. Hilliard. Mr. Lawson. Ms. Reeves. Attorney Rutledge. Mrs. Smith. Dr. Tarver. Mr. Taylor Jarrell. Reverend Torbert. Ms. Williams. You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to ask adoption of the agenda minus one item. Remove item 5A, the above and beyond award. We'll hear that next month. Can I get adoption of the agenda with that edit?
Second. Whitfield.
Thank you. And the agenda is adopted. We move to action item.
Public comments.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. The president's going to keep whispering in my ear till I get it right. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Seeing none, we will move on to action item 6A, request approval of the minutes from December the 10th, 2021 board meeting. Can I get a motion to approve? In a second. Any opposed? Action item 6A is approved. Action item 6B, request approval of committee reports and recommendation. Make the motion. Mr. Whitfield moves, Ms. Reeves seconds. Any opposed? Action item 6B is approved. Action item 6C, request approval of memorandum of understanding between Southern University Law Center and the Pennsale Lewis College. Chancellor Pierre.
Yes, sir.
You hear me? Okay. Sorry.
Yes, sir, we can.
All right. I'm going to ask Ms. Dickerson to come and pass out articles related to this, I think, great opportunity. The Pennsale Lewis College is actually an institution that will begin operations in March of 2022. In Detroit, Michigan, there was an HBCU called the Lewis College of Business that operated for many years until its closure in 2013. It was the only HBCU in Michigan, and there are very few HBCUs in the Midwest. So it was historic for that. Mr. Dwayne Edwards, Dr. Dwayne Edwards, who is the designer of the Michael Jordan shoe, and was a longtime shoe designer for Nike, has for many years been developing design opportunities for minority students at an institution in Portland, Oregon. And so he saw an opportunity to bring together a number of corporate entities to support his vision of having a college where he could develop minority designers at no cost to those students, with the opportunities to create internships and permanent opportunities and entrepreneurship opportunities in a multi-billion-dollar industry. I was fortunate to learn about him after I saw an article where Target announced that it was supporting the reopening of the school through a contact. You met her at the Bayou Classic board meeting, Ms. Hawkins, Ms. Monica Poulard Harkins, who put me in contact with him. And we started having conversations about an opportunity to create a collaboration with the Southern University Law Center at first, but really an opportunity for the Southern University system. He wants to partner with an HBCU in the South that can essentially help bring minority student talent to Lewis College of Business at no cost to the students, at no cost to the institution, where they can gain certificate opportunities, internships opportunities, and other whatever degree arrangement opportunities the institutions want to do in collaboration with the Pennsale Lewis College of Business college. So we started that conversation, and eventually I was able to, with the help of all of the chancellors, bring in some folks and from, for example, family and consumer science. There's a fashion, there's a merchandising area. The community college, Suzzla, SUNO, Southern University Baton Rouge College of Business, everyone saw some potential benefits. So, the idea was, let's start having a discussion. Let's hopefully get to the point where we can pull the trigger at the right time. And now is the right time, because Governor Whitmire in Michigan just signed legislation to authorize the reopening of the college in the state of Michigan. They're going to have to obviously go through their accreditation processes, just like we would at Saks. But he's already started that. He's already got the corporate support from a number of large corporations. And he's actually got a cohort program set for the summer that we have an opportunity to have not only our students, but also alums get into, that are going to be done at no cost to them. They're going to provide housing. And in some cases, they're even going to provide stipends, because this is all going to be supported by corporations. What got us involved in it was actually, we have a couple of law students who are very much invested in the fashion industry. We have a young lady who is actually an alum of Florida A&M. That's one of Dr. Ammon's gifts to me. Her name is Chelsea Grant, and actually, Dr. Ammons, you actually hired her to work for you at one point, right? So Chelsea is a recipient of the Hennessy Fellowship. The Hennessy Fellowship is a fellowship that awarded her $40,000 plus other money, up to almost $50,000, to learn about fashion, alcohol, everything related to the Hennessy Corporation. She then parlayed that opportunity to go take courses at Fordham University College of Law. I didn't even know there was a fashion law program. She took a semester and went to the fashion law program. Then she kind of tied on to some hours at the Ag Center. And now she is doing an internship with the Brooklyn Nets. She's in New York City, and part of what she's doing is working with their uniforms and all that good stuff. So when I showed this to her, she said, let's do this. This is great. So this is kind of how we got the conversation started. And so this presents us with an opportunity to have our institutions take advantage of what's being done. Everybody can decide how they want to do it. We already are seeing benefits. So just to have you understand as a board members, what you do for us. A few months ago, you voted to allow us to be part of the Propel Center partnership. And we just got notified through a project with the Ag Center that we got a grant from them in, what's the area again? Art, fashion, etc. Who knew? And this is supported by Apple. So this gives us an opportunity. This is a very lucrative industry, and there is a sore need for people of color in this particular industry. In fact, one of our faculty members or staff members, Christopher Rogers Sr., has a son who is a well-known designer who designed the outfit for Vice President of the United States for the inauguration. This is a huge industry. And they're begging for talent from minority communities.
Can I move on the items?
Yes, sir, you can. Any opposed? The item is approved. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Chancellor Pierre. You will always be Professor Pierre. I'm sorry. At least you're not grading my tests anymore. Now we'd like to move on to action item 6D and E. I'd like to take those together. Can I get a motion to approve? Yes, sir.
No.
Certainly,
Item
sir.
D.
Let's move forward with 6D. Motion to approve?
No, we have questions. I have
We
a
usually
question
do that after
after the motion. Okay.
yeah.
I'll second Reeves.
Second, any comments?
I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Smith.
I've noticed that we have entertained a great number of MOUs over the years. And I've never been able to get a handle on or a follow-up on any of the MOUs. Is there a possibility that we can see which ones are still, maybe I should be asking Dr. Belton, is there a possibility that we can get an update on some of these MOUs to see how many of them are we following through and they're beneficial to us as a university or a system, and how many have we should we decide to remove?
All right. In response, the answer is yes. We certainly could seek that information from the respective campuses and give you a report to that in that regard.
Mr. Fondale?
Yeah, my question is regards to item D that is on the agenda. I'm looking at this and it's saying that we are dissolving the program that we have up there, our relationship with the Texas AT&T up in Shreveport with regards to the Southern University Shreveport Jaguars. This was a program that this board voted on a few years ago. I think it was vetted through here also. I know that we've had as many as up to 85 athletes. And these are athletes in the state of Louisiana who may not have an opportunity to play at Southern because of their grades and to play at any of the other institutions throughout the state. So my question is, if we are not continuing with this program, what is our alternative? And I don't know if that would be the president or the interim chancellor that's there.
Mr. President.
What is the alternative for those students that have participated in this program, that have played as often as 6-7 months ago, traveling throughout this country, playing other JUCO programs? And again, I'll say this, It is a program that was put in place to help students who weren't academically qualified to play at D1 programs like Southern and other programs throughout the state of Louisiana. What is the alternative for those students?
So, I'll take a swing at it, and I ask Interim Chancellor Penning to elaborate if necessary. But the MOU primarily established an affiliate relationship with Southern University Shreveport. The caveats of the agreement, however, was really was not substantive from the standpoint of these students being offered an opportunity to enroll at Southern University for 9 hours. That was the caveat of it. And by way of the students enrolling, they would have the benefit of residing in the apartments that's there. That would be, that is common to any student who enrolled at the university. There was some question whether or not we even needed a MOU at the time to which we adopted it, but it was felt that the affiliate, Texas A&T, needed it just to give indication of their relationship with the university. So this does not prohibit those students from continuing to reside at Southern University at Shreveport, continue to stay in the apartments, but it makes clear that there is no liability or expectation of Southern University to invest in that third-party entity.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
May I take a swing at it, because my interim chancellor has just been on the campus a little less than 2 months. I've got some insight, Mr. Mondale. Here's the way, as I appreciate it, it was approached. This was a very good idea. It was a great idea. And being a former chief student advocate, I saw it as a way, first of all, to offer some service that's a worthwhile being for students. By the same token, we would benefit by those 58, I think, was students that they brought in to help our enrollment. Not a lot, but it would help a little bit. The point of it being, though, is that as it evolved, it just, and I was stressing the idea of it being student friendly and helping students. The reality, though, was that it just wasn't a good business deal. Now, you say, how do you mix that? Providing services for students and being a good business deal. First of all, the university, the understanding was that we would not have to provide any of our, what we call, state funds to support this program. As it turned out, and as we looked into it further, that may not have been the case. The company you referenced, and I forget the acronym now, they had promised, I believe, in the MOU too, that they were going to give us $82,000 to help support the program. We haven't seen those funds. I'm probably the only person sitting around the queue that's actually attended one of those games. I attended 3, I think, of those games. Here's the deal. And I had a good feeling about it. I really did, Mr. Mondale, Mr. President, and the rest of them. The only thing I noticed was that, of course, the local populace didn't support the team. The student body was not there. There was one good aspect of it. The families of the students were there, which was a good feeling. But the idea was that it was never embraced by the local community. You may have heard me say this in private to you, Mr. Mondale. Shreveport is a peculiar place. It is not a particularly avid sports venue. It's just not. You know, we have never had, this would have been the first opportunity we would have had for post-secondary varsity sports. It just never realized. And I stress again, the idea was so good, but it was just not a good business deal for the university itself. And I wish it could have been, because I'm one of those people, I'm at a high school football game every Friday night during the football season. I thought it would work. but it just didn't plan out.
Question. With regards to the statement you made, Mr. Gilliam,
Yes, sir.
it's a new program. And the support of the community starts somewhere. I was in first year there. These are gonna be, you say 58, the numbers I had were close to 85 when they were planning capacity. I remember last summer, it was down to 58. We are talking about revenue of over $2 million. I think the report was 2.3 million that it brought to that area, and a lack of students that may not continue to be continued to be enrolled at that program. My question is there an alternative? Or are we just looking at dissolving this? The other part was you mentioned about state funds. I know that students have funds that are set aside that can only be used for them. Were any of their funds used toward facilitating this team at any point?
Quite honestly, Mr. Fondell, there were some expenditures that were made regarding this program that I wouldn't like to address publicly because they were on the line of being across the line.
I would just ask the administration, I know it's something that we're looking to vote on today, but maybe a little bit more information. Again, it's affecting a lot of students who are looking to go to this school in terms of play football. And we're making a decision now to basically discontinue a program there and not allow these students. Now, some of them may stay, but they went there with an intent to play football in that area. So, as a member here, I asked for a little bit more information. Can we give some time for, and even if we do pass this, what's the alternative? How do we retain these students? Where will they go?
So if I may add, there was no expectation that Southern University Shreveport would invest in this relationship. There was no expectation. And this MOU, in order to dissolve it, I think it provides us a means of clarifying that or such that the university and or the third party would not have an expectation that the university would invest in it. We went into it with the understanding that there would be no investment on the part of Chancellor. We do not need this MOU to establish this presence for this third party. The third party can continue to operate as it is now with the team members enrolled at Southern University and being housed on Southern University Shreveport campus. And the university can continue to provide whatever levels of solicitation from others that they are doing now. But I think the provisions of the MOU provide for us to dissolve it with 120-day notice. And I supported the recommendation of Dr. Penning in light of the fact that I think it would just really clear up the matter where there's an understanding of what expectations there are and where there would be limitations in terms of our investment.
Mr. Fondale, if I could address it correctly. What I'd like to do, I believe Ms. Reeves made the motion to approve. I would like to ask Ms. Reeves to withdraw the motion. We can table this till the next meeting. And at that point, at some point in between, you can have a conversation with the president, Mr. Gilliam, and they can fill you in a little bit more on the specifics of this issue. Would that be satisfactory, sir?
Yes, I do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Sir, Ms. Smith?
Is this MOU causing any financial issues at the campus at Chancellor?
Ms. Smith, what I'd like to do is address that in the
Private.
same vein as
Okay.
Mr. Fondale's issue,
All right,
if we
that's fine.
could. Ms. Reeves, will you withdraw?
I'd like to remove my motion to approve this.
So moved. As far as action item 6D, I'm going to table that motion until the next hearing. Any opposition? So moved. We'll move now to action item 6E.
I move approval of 6D. Second.
Mr. Rutledge has moved approval of 6E. Dr. Whitfield has seconded. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Action item 6E is approved. We now move to item 7, our resolutions.
Thank you so much, Chair Shorty, Mr. Vice Chair, Mr. President, and other members of the board, and all assembled. Our condolences are extended to the Janice Faye Dickerson family. Miss Janice Dickerson was a 1968 graduate of Iberville High School, and she graduated in 1988 from Southern University in political science. She was the mother of Associate Vice Chancellor Miss Marla Dickerson at the Southern University Law Center. She passed away on Wednesday, December 8th, 2021. Our condolences are also extended to the Kanishi Morrison family. Ms. Kanishi Morrison graduated from Bastrop High School with honors in 1990. After graduation, she attended Southern University in Baton Rouge, where she received her bachelor's degree in mass communication. Kanishi was a student writer for the Southern Digest and later earned the title of editor-in-chief for the Digest. She passed away on December 7th, 2021. Our sincerest condolences extended to the Anna Pierre family. Miss Anna Pierre was a graduate of Laurelville High School and a 1976 graduate of Southern University in Baton Rouge. She is the sister of Chancellor John K. Pierre. She passed away on Saturday, December 11th, 2021. Condolences are also extended to the Roy Lawrence Haley Winbush family. Bishop Winbush attended Crowley Public Schools, where he excelled to the rank of valedictorian of the senior class in 1949 at Crowley Industrial High School. Bishop graduated from Southern University with a Bachelor of Science degree. While attending the university, he served as class president and news reporter for the campus paper. He was a member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. He passed away on Sunday, December 19th, 2021. Condolences are also extended to the Rosa Mary Harrison Walker family. Ms. Walker was a product of the Caddo Parish public school system, and she attended Central University, J.S. Clark Middle School, and graduated from Booker T. Washington High School before advancing her education at Northwestern State University. She was the mother of Southern University alum, Bishop Joseph W. Walker. She passed away on December 14th, 2021. Our condolences also to the Otis Truxillo family. Otis Truxillo was a resident of Belrose, Louisiana. He received his Bachelor of Science degree in engineering from Southern University in Baton Rouge, and he passed away on December 21st, 2021. And finally, our condolences to the Betty Hardy Smith family. Miss Betty Hardy Smith graduated from McKinley Senior High School and Southern University, where she received a bachelor's degree in elementary education. She was the mother of Dr. Melanie Smith Johnson, Associate Political Science Professor here at Southern. She passed away on Sunday, January 2nd, 2022. Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and all other members of the board, this concludes our January 2022 resolutions.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. I do believe before we get to the medical marijuana update, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, especially as an HBCU, that while we were sitting here, I got a news alert that Sidney Portier passed away. And I think his contribution to film and industry and to the civil rights movement cannot be overstated. I for one, have tried to emulate what he presented in his movies, from In the Heat of the Night to Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and all of these movies made a big impact on my life. So I know it's because of icons like that, a lot of us can sit in the rooms that we sit in. So I'd like to offer a resolution of condolences to the family of Sidney Portier. Now, if we can go on to. It has been moved and seconded. Any opposed? The resolutions stand adopted. Now we'll move on to our medical marijuana update. Dr. McMeans.
Yes, Dr. Snowden is, I don't think she's here. She's a little on the weather, and during this time of COVID, I just tell anybody, even if you're sneezing, stay at home, or at least stay away from me. So
I feel the same way about the vice chair who keeps having a wet cough sitting next to me.
But as I was on the elevator with
Board Member Lawson, we had a funny moment because my mother said to me over the Christmas break in Mobile, she said, I spent all that time trying to keep you away from drugs and now you selling drugs. And I said, it's medicine, Mom. But if you've been reading the press, the rollout of the flour has been big time. And when you're talking about a price point of $440 to almost $500 an ounce, which is more than twice what is called a street price. And I think the demand didn't catch us off guard, but the supply is definitely there for us. I can't speak on behalf of the other entity, but we're in pretty good shape. We won't necessarily say how much we have on hand from competitive reasons, but we did roll out the first 40 pounds, and your understanding and that an ounce is a significant amount of cannabis. So we're very excited. I'm requesting from the chairman, and hopefully it'll go in a minute, that we be on the agenda for the next meeting so we can have a more thorough assessment of how the first month has gone. But I'm truly excited. We've been receiving calls from universities all across the country, congratulating us and asking us questions. And my home state of Alabama wanted us to come before the legislature, and that's a very conservative state, to talk about the importance of medical marijuana. But our LIRA is doing a great job. Our packaging is pretty successful. You know that it's a Southern University product, and some people are requesting that Southern University brand, and that's a great thing. We're limited because we receive federal funds as to the extent of what we can do and how we go about marketing it, and our great attorneys keep us in line with that. So whenever we step out of line, they make sure that we are restricted in what we can do as it relates to marketing. But I'm extremely happy about the project and the product, because when I first arrived, it was that there are any individuals doubting what Southern can do as it relates to the medical marijuana program. And it's good to see us going from seed to shelf. And now hopefully Mr. McClinton will hit that magical number of $1 million, in which we start getting a certain percentage off the top. And I promise, as Chancellor of the Ag Center, I will be equitable with my other chancellors. But equitable is very defined by me. So we will make sure that we share, Dr. Ammon. So we will share. But I'm excited about the future, and our other products are still selling: the inhalers, the tinctures, and what have you, the rubs and the balms and things of that nature. So I'll entertain any questions, but I may be limited because we are still gathering data and information regarding the first month of sales.
I was going to say, Dr. McNeil, you talked a little bit fast. I had my one opportunity to act as the acting chair, but you took a little too long, so I did get the call on Myron Lawson. So, Mr. Chair, can you go ahead and do your job?
Mr. Lawson.
Thank you. Mr. McNeil, Dr. McNeil is correct. We talked on the elevator. I had one of my team members come in the office, and she was looking like this. It's okay. What's wrong? You know, customers busting or what? She said, y'all selling now? And I thought about it. She said, I didn't know. And she had a relative that needed help. She got that relative some help. That relative is doing quite well now. So my issue is this: how many others out there just don't know? And as far as we can push it, Esquire, to the point of advertising that's legally allowed, I think we should do it, because this is something I don't see why we would have to hide it, Kristen. And if we can expose this benefit to those, I mean, there's some financial expediency, yes, but certainly the healing aspect is where we are as far as our party. So my piece is let's look at the marketing of it and push it as far as we can go.
Well,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
yeah, and thanks to Attorney Rutledge, we actually contracted a group that's actually having community meetings. We will actually be on the radio next week. And so we have a company that we worked, I think we may have worked with Mr. Harrell on that, and getting a 501c3 that's going out and speaking to this really is the mystifying the myth associated with cannabis, so to speak. And so they're doing a phenomenal job, and we are considering renewing that because we did promise when we signed on to do medical marijuana that outreach would be a key component of this program. And so we're doing some other things, and I think Dr. Whitfield may be coming on later on to do some additional educational programming as relates to medical marijuana, cannabis. And of course, we're really starting to get into that space of hemp. So I'm glad you brought up hemp, and we're working with Black farmers right now, and very challenging to grow hemp in Louisiana, but we're trying because of humidity and pests and the rain is just very tough crop to grow outside. But we are working with a group in Lafayette that has an indoor hemp growing facility, and they make hemp tea, which is pretty good if you get a chance to try it. It's not bad at all. And so we are working with our minority farmers, and that's something that Mr. Cedric Richmond wanted to make sure that Southern University continues this rich, long history of serving underserved, specifically Black farmers.
Thank you, Dr. McMeans. Any comments relative to Dr. McMeans' report? All right. Oh, by the way, Dr. McMeans, if you're having problems growing marijuana, I know some folks down in New Orleans who are not having problems at all. Just saying. I will move to our president's report. Dr. Belton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I will be brief, and but I did want to formally give indication to you of our COVID protocols that we are being guided by right now. You most notably have heard of our approach as we begin the spring semester, where we found it appropriate to delay the classes facilitated on the Baton Rouge campus in person. I do want to qualify that those classes that we had scheduled to be facilitated online will be ongoing based on the current academic calendar. But we did not want to start in one modality and switch over because we thought that may be problematic in doing so. But we do anticipate receiving all of the students on the Baton Rouge campus beginning January the 26th. And we are adjusting the academic calendar such that we could end the semester within the time frame that we had originally set. The chancellors of the respective campuses within our system, they have some variation in terms of what they're doing in terms of starting classes initially online for 1 or 2 weeks. But in many cases, all of our efforts are being guided with the aim of trying to ensure that we have testing protocols in place and that we're doing the work that ensures that our faculty, staff, and students are safe as they begin to invest in their studies for the spring. Having said that, I too would like to formally express my congratulations to you, Mr. Chair and Mr. Vice Chair. This board, in my opinion, has earned the public's trust. And I think you would do well in advancing the appropriate leadership to continue that tradition. So I look forward at the time I have to work with you, and certainly know that we will be available, to serve this system as we have been over the years.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll go to our individual chancellors' reports. Dr. Ammons.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To our new chair and vice chair, to our outgoing chair, honorable members of the board, thank you for this opportunity. By the way, Happy New Year to everyone. And thank you for this opportunity to hear from Southern University at New Orleans. We too have made a change in our spring calendar. We did open the campus on Tuesday, January 4th. Our students will move in to the residential facility on Friday, January 14th, throughout that weekend to the 17th. But our courses will begin virtually. They will begin on January 18th, which is our original schedule, through January 31st. And then, we'll monitor this Omicron variant. It is our hope that the first week in February that we can begin face-to-face classes. We have also entered into a partnership with Simply Health for testing for the university community, and that is underway. The Chancellor's report is in your packet. And Mr. Chair, I would like to use the rest of my time for the presentation from Jefferson Parish. But before Mr. Lee and Dr. Rugan come up, I too want to express my appreciation to former Chair Rutledge for his leadership. We had the opportunity to work extremely closely together while I served in the interim and also the quote unquote permanent role at SUNO with the issues around accreditation and finances. And I can tell you that through his leadership and through the support of this board, SUNO came through those issues and is now financially stable. And without your support, and of course, without the leadership of Chairman Rutledge and the support of Dr. Belton, this system supported SUNO during some very trying times. And I just want to express my appreciation for his steadfast leadership. And he was always there on call whenever we need, he and the president, whenever we needed to have representation of the board with Sykes, they were always there. And I will always remember that and just wanted to express my appreciation. Before Dr. Rugan and Councilman Lee come up, I want to say that at SUNO, we have designated scholarships as our #1 priority for fundraising. And our goal is to keep SUNO affordable and accessible. And this goal resonated with Mr. Lee. And today is the beginning of a partnership that will build pathways for students from Jefferson Parish to the campus of Southern University at New Orleans. And at this time, I'll ask Dr. Rugan and Mr. Lee to come forward.
You stole all my thunder because I was going to bring up Councilman Lee, and I amended the agenda for him because I know he never shows up to the golf course on time. So I knew he wasn't coming here on time. But this is the culmination of a bet that he lost. So thank you for showing up.
Good morning and Happy New Year, President Belton, Chairman Shorty, Vice Chair, Honorable Board of Supervisors, Chancellors, and all our guests. Again, I'm Dr. Kim Rugan. I'm the Vice Chancellor of the Vice Chancellor for Office of Institutional Advancement at SUNO. Today, Dr. Ammons really kind of stole the thunder, but Councilman Byron Lee and I would like to present Dr. Ammons with a check on behalf of the Jefferson Parish City Council. On December 8, 2021, the Jefferson Parish City Council passed the resolution 138672, authored by Councilman Byron Lee, to provide tuition assistance to students who wish to come to SUNO but reside in Jefferson Parish. The parish, in partnership with SUNO, will offer $25,000 in scholarship assistance yearly over a 4-year period, totaling $100,000 to the students meeting the criteria outlined by the Chancellor and the Vice Chancellor of Advancement, who would determine the application process. Please accept this on behalf of the council, a check for $100,000. And I would invite Councilman Lee to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. I see certainly a lot of my friends here. I see Myron, my friends from many years ago. But it's to be in a position to be able to help Southern University of New Orleans and the Southern University system is certainly one of the thrills and highlights of my life. Having went to SUNO part-time while doing summer schools, as well as to have both of my sons to have the SUNO experience, only embedded the need for me while in a position to be able to help support those in the community who need a pathway to improving their lives and the lives of their family and their children and for years and futures to come. And so I'm happy to be here. Ed Shorty is my golf partner. We both just lost a lot of money playing. But it's an honor to be here. So thank y'all so much for having us, and I look forward to doing everything that I can to assist in other endeavors that will come up in the near future with Southern University of New Orleans. Thank y'all.
Thank you. He brought a ringer and teamed up against me. That's why he won. Thank you again to Councilman Lee and the entire Jefferson Parish Council. I will have our report from Dr. Penny.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'd like to also begin by lending my voice to acknowledge and congratulate Chairman Shorty and Chairman Whitfield. Absolute pleasure working with both of you so far, and I look forward to working with you throughout your tenure.
Thank you.
In his absence, I certainly want to also join my voice in congratulating our Chairman Emeritus, Attorney Rutledge, for all of his leadership and guidance, as Dr. Belton indicated, throughout these past 3 years. My report, the Chancellor's report, is in your packet, but I do want to highlight what I always talk about: the heart and soul of a university is its people. And I want to close this by acknowledging one, Dr. Tiffany Warner, the head of our nursing program. We had a beautiful nursing pinning ceremony at Susler. And Susler, for many of you know, really is a critical partner in providing and responding to the workforce, the healthcare needs of Northwest Louisiana. They did a beautiful job and well attended, so I want to lend my voice to that. Also, speaking about faculty, 3 of our faculty members, I want to quickly acknowledge Mr. Victor Thomas, who was recognized by the Greater Shreveport Chamber of Commerce for being one of the young rising stars, 40 under 40. I want to add my voice to that commendation. And also 2 of our staff members completed a year-long leadership training program. Our CFO, Brandy Jacobson, and the head of our enrollment management services, Jorge Sosa, were selected based on the experience and leadership, and want to just acknowledge them for that. Finally, I want to close by also stating that, as President Chancellor Dr. Belton indicated, Susler has started this semester the right way. We opened on January 4th. We allowed our faculty and staff to work remotely for this first week. Everyone is coming back on a staggered schedule from beginning Monday the 10th through the 21st. Residential move-in date is on Friday, January the 21st, and the first day of in-person classes begins on January 26th. Having said that, registration has began virtually as we open our university, and then has transitioned beginning next week from both a virtual format to also an in-person format. So once again, to the board members, I want to thank you. Happy New Year. And I look forward to working with each of you as we move forward. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Penny. Now we will have Dr. McMeans.
Thank you. And again, congratulations, Mr. Chairman and Vice Chairman. Look forward to working with you. And also, I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to be Chancellor while Attorney Rutledge served as chair. I told someone, if you want to understand Robert's Rules of Order, just watch Mr. Rutledge run his meetings. I thought they were exceptional. So,
hey, he's not in here.
I know. So that makes it sincere.
We're not talking about him anymore.
So I wanted to go on record. This is impromptu, but I want to thank President Belton for holding a meeting in which a lot of you probably didn't notice, but the Ag Center has significant research going on. But thanks to Dr. Stubblefield and others, we weren't capturing that research. So that I think that will move us even closer to that designation that we're seeking. And so I'm just excited about the fact that we had a meeting in which we were able to come to an agreement to make sure that those grants are counted, so that not only with the designation, but also the ranking of us as an HBCU. So I'm excited about that, and also excited about we're getting ready to add about 4 or 5 new research programs in the Ag Center. So that too is extremely exciting. So I wanted to go on record and thank you, President Belton, for your leadership in that endeavor. I want to also acknowledge and thank Mr. Pitts for discussing some of the projects going on with the Ag Center. I want to further add that thanks to the legislature in the 2021 session, we received $2.5 million, and we're using all of that money for upgrades and renovations to the Ag Center and its facilities, which includes renovation of our livestock arena, poultry and swine facilities, new fencing, landscaping, and technology upgrades at our research station. And so I'm looking at that as the first phase, and we're also going to request an additional $2.5 million from the legislature this year to finish up some of the renovation. One of the, and we also, of course, Mr. Pitts noted that we finally moved back, started to move back in A.O. Williams, and the East End is being renovated now. The researchers are on the West End, so we're excited about that. We have adopted, me and my executive team, the mantra for 2022 of bigger and better in 2022, hashtag bigger and better 2022 or 22. And what we mean by bigger and better, that means bigger and better research programs, bigger and better outreach, community engagement, academic programs, and one of my biggies is bigger and better recruitment and retention efforts. So we are truly excited about adopting that mantra, and you will be seeing that. And last, the last comment I have is with somewhat heavy heart that I wanted to recognize one of my members of my executive team who will be leaving us in January 31st, Mrs. Lisa Williamson, who is my executive assistant. Lisa, please stand. So those of you who have worked with Lisa or interacted, I don't have to say anything about that. Lisa promised me 2 years ago that she would come here and give me 2 years of getting me acclimated and grounded at Southern University. It's exactly 2 years. And her husband, and her mother, her 4 kids and grandchildren, they looked at me sideways when they would see me. So I'm sending them back to West Virginia, even though they got 12 inches of snow today. So Lisa and I have worked together a total of 22 years as my executive assistant. And so she will be missed. I wanted to make sure that I acknowledge her. It's not something that I normally do, but I wanted to make sure that she received her recognition. And Lisa, you will be missed. And Miss Jackie Dixon will step up and assume some of those responsibilities. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. McMeans. Now, Chancellor Pierre.
Yeah. Thank you, Chairman Shorty. This year marks the beginning of the 75th year of the Southern University Law Center. So we will be celebrating the 75th anniversary all year. And I want Chancellor Emeritus Agnehotra to come forward because he has been with Southern for more than 50 years of the 75 years. And then we want to, we actually brought, Chancellor, please, sir. And we have something for you, both of you, and we have for the Chancellor Emeritus. So we'll present that to you. For you to start off your tenure in this day. Chancellor Agnehotra has had the pleasure of 2 of his former students while he was chancellor being board chairs now. Is it 4 years in a row now? Not to mention the number of judges.
Then he called you to retire.
So as you return to your seats, and Senator, all right, absolutely. All right. As Dr. Belton indicated, we will start classes remotely Monday, the 10th. So that's the only change that we have with respect to that. But actually, next weekend, under the leadership of General Honoré, I'll ask Ms. Dickerson to pass out some information. We're about to do something very historic here at Southern University. Dr. Belton and Dr. Williams has been supporting us in this. And I'd like for General Honoré to come up and talk a little bit about what we're engaging in with a number of groups from Haiti that has been getting national attention. And if you would allow General Honoré, please, sir.
Chancellor, good morning. The board. Thank you, Chairman Shorty. Congratulations. Welcome to this big mission you have, and it's an honor to be in support of the great Southern University mission. Thanks to President Belton for your years of service and to the university. It's been a great pleasure to have had the opportunity to work with you and wish you the best in your second half. I want to thank the board at this time also for the continued support of the Honoré Center. We had 3 young men graduating this year who will go off to be teachers, African-American male teachers in Louisiana. From the members of this board who helped us and the foundation, we raised nearly $100,000 at our annual Honoré Center golf tournament at the Bartholomew Golf Tournament in New Orleans. Look forward to some of these golfers on the board next year to come out and again support us. Thank you very much. A Haiti summit. How did we come about this? I'm still trying to figure out how Chancellor Pierre got me into this one. But he's a hard man to tell no to. But upon his request to assist the people of Haiti to reestablish their democracy, the idea was put forward by the Haitian diaspora of groups in Miami, New York, and Washington, D.C. to bring the political parties of Haiti to the United States. And the idea of where would this summit be held? There was one held in 1993 in Roosevelt Island. It was supported by the Congressional Black Caucus. This year, with all what's going on in Washington, that mission has befallen on the Southern University Law Center under Chancellor Pierre and the Mandela School of Public Policy to host the Haitian political groups. This meeting will start on the 13th of January. We have moral support from the State Department and the White House, but not logistics support. So this is being funded through gifts and the goodwill of the people here in America and donations from around the world to support this summit. The summit will include an ability for the 7 political groups in Haiti to come together and create a accord. Right now, there are 7 different accords. The idea with the leadership of Southern Law and the Mandela School of Public Policy and the leadership here at Southern University, our intent is for them to leave here on Martin Luther King Day with one accord. Plan Haiti for Haitians by Haitians. And that's been a problem going back over 200 years since the country of Haiti was formed after General Toussaint Louverture defeated Napoleon. And doing that, the Haitian connecting Louisiana was connected. Over 10 million Haitians came, 10,000 Haitians came to the state of Louisiana. Most of them settled in New Orleans. And when they arrived, it gave the state of Louisiana enough population to declare Louisiana as a state. So these Haitians advanced the ability of Louisiana to become a part of the United States by their arrival from the revolution in Haiti. That's why today in New Orleans, you see a strong influence from the Haitian community in South Louisiana. And many of us in Louisiana with French names are derivatives from those Haitians who arrived in New Orleans in the early 1800s. Thus, we became a state much earlier than anticipated. So we have roots with the people of Haiti. We share a culture and we share a belief in democracy. For over 200 years, Haiti, the only Black republic in the Western Hemisphere, has gotten a tough deal. They've been repetitively had the experience of not having strong democracy. This will give them an opportunity, after having gone through some devastating events this year, with their president being assassinated, the overrun of the local districts by gangs, an earthquake, and the continuing line of poverty, and the mass migration of Haitians to the Mexican border to try and come to the United States. So this is a global issue. It's a country that deserves a fair break. And because of the leadership here at Southern University, we will be able to put them on a path on Martin Luther King Day to have their dream, to return to Haiti with an accord that can be supported by the international community, United Nations, who Chancellor Pierre have been engaging with, Ambassador Greenfield and others, to have them go back on accord, to establish an interim government, to set a path to the next election, and to put forth the priorities for an ask to the international community to deal with the gang violence and to help with the humanitarian assistance. Those are the objectives of the summit. We've got the leadership. We've got a great space to operate in the Law Center and the Mandela School of Public Policy. And we've got the opportunity next week to help the people of Haiti help themselves. So thanks to the leadership for allowing this to happen. Thanks to Chancellor Pierre for his leadership. I'm a class of 1971, Southern University School of Agriculture, and continue to work with the university and the challenges dealing with the Ravine. President Belton had us on the right path, along with Senator Fields and Secretary Sean Wilson at the DOT, to get that problem fixed. My classmate Bartholomew over here and William Jefferson used to wear ties, and I continue to dress in my normal farmer's outfit. It's an honor to be here with you today, pending any questions. And we're also working with the country of Baton. Qatar has put forth a proposition to collaborate with HBCUs. This is a collaboration with the ambassador of Qatar in Washington, D.C. The plan is, and Southern University will be in the center of this, to provide graduate opportunities in Qatar at their education center through exchange, as well as investment in research and development here on Southern University campus, as with other HBCUs. I appreciate for this opportunity to share this information with you and to continue to work with the leadership at Southern University. Thank you very much.
General Honoré has been working very hard on fundraising, but we have had a benefactor in that Chancellor Agnihotri, because of his experience in the United Nations and on a global level, has contributed to this effort. And I wanted to recognize him for his contributions. In fact, the reason many of the people will be able to fly into Louisiana is because of the contribution of Chancellor Agnihotri and his wife. And again, this has been a very, very great learning experience for me. I think General Honoré gave me too much credit. All I did was answer a call, and they asked me, could I help them with security? I said, no, I can't. But I said, I know someone who can, and that's General Honoré no way did I know he would take this on as his cause. He really has taken this on as his cause, and he gives me too much credit. Really, the credit belongs to him.
Thank you to Chancellor Pierre, Chancellor Agna-Hotry, and to General Honoré for his service to our nation and his continued service to this institution. And from me personally, General, I knew I could go back home to my house in Gentilly once I saw you stand on the street after Katrina. I knew everything was going to be all right. Thank you, General. Now to Dr. Sahu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Yesterday was our faculty convocation for the spring 2022 semester, which was opened by President Belton. He cited our success, many successes, but success in getting the SAC COC institutional accreditation and the success in many specialized accreditations and the programs across the Southern University campus. He cited the commitment of the faculty, and he also received adulation, and he received appreciation and gratitude of the faculty for his steadfast leadership during tough times, and as to how he has led the university and all the good that he has done for the faculty and the students. The faculty remains committed to the mission of this university to provide a student-centered learning environment. And I want you to know that, we remain committed to continue the work so that our retention rates, our graduation rates, and our placement rates all improve over time. I want to highlight a few things. Nearly 450 graduates earned degrees from Southern University Baton Rouge during the fall 2021 commencement ceremony, which was held on Friday, December 10th. Many of the members of the Board of Supervisors were in attendance. Mr. Irving Matthews, an SUBR alumnus and current owner of the Matthews Automotive Group, served as the commencement speaker. Following his address, Mr. Matthews was presented with an honorary doctorate from the university in recognition of his many contributions to society and his alma mater, which included a $1 million recent gift to the university. I think this is a tradition that we will try to, I would urge the administration and the leaders of this university to continue so that our own alumnus can serve as good role models that other students can see and aspire to be like them. And his presentation was very uplifting and inspiring. In the College of Sciences and Engineering, two of our students, Sai Sudha Naragoni and Sunita Sagi, each received $16,000 from IBM for their research. I spoke about trying to be more research intensive, and this is again an opportunity to highlight the success of students when faculty working with students get these things done. So we have two more IBM Masters Fellowship Award earners, and each getting $16,000. There has been many successes in the Spikes Honors College, but I want to highlight two areas. One in the Agriculture, Family, Consumer Sciences, a faculty member's success, Dr. Yadong Chi, Professor of Urban Forestry and MS Program Leader, was the recipient of the Society of Municipal Arborists President Award of Appreciation during the 57th Annual SMA Conference in Louisville. In the College of Nursing and Allied Health, Dean Sandra Brown received the D. Jensen Holiday Memorial Award for the Mary Bird Perkinson Cancer Center in recognition for her sustained and measurable difference in the fight against cancer and working for the greater good and betterment of the community. She serves as the co-chair of the healthcare task force to address all the COVID issues. Southern University Law School, the Southern University School of Nursing has been recognized by the Louisiana Nurse Foundation as the 2021 Nightingale Award recipient for the Nursing School of the Year, chosen as Nursing School Program of the Year for the graduate programs. This is the 5th year that we have received this honor. This concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Sahu. Under other business, I would like to tell the board just a brief update on the presidential search. I would ask you to mark your calendars for February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. As I understand it, and you'll be getting an email pretty soon once we get this thing a little bit more firm. But the search committee is going to meet, I believe, on the 18th and 19th to try and whittle down the total number of applicants. And I think they're trying to get to a number of around 3. And those final applicants will be submitted to us. And what I believe the plan is to have on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, a day with each of the candidates where they will schedule possibly for them to have meetings with the student body in the morning and a formal interview in the afternoon with board members in the boardroom, so that if we've got questions, we can get into it with them then for about an hour or 2 each, and then a reception later to do it in a more informal setting. So the plan is 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Mark your calendars, please. Is there any other business? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Can I get a second? We are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, keep whispering in my ear. Thank you.